think I've said a half dozen times on this channel that I've never seen a video this crazy, but it feels like people are trying to outdo themselves. Hi everyone, welcome to today's badge cam lesson here at Active Self Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from Weber County, Utah.
Wilderness Tactical has been around for longer than the gun you're carrying has been, and they have been making high quality products for concealed carriers for literally decades. I wear their low pro belt every year. The webbing is the best in the industry, and I won't wear anything else. If you're looking for a good CCW belt, check them out. Man on screen here has driven 700 miles from Long Beach, California to North Ogden, Utah to basically confront his brother. They've had a long-standing domestic feud over their mom where they have cut the man on screen basically out of the family. I don't know why, but he has driven 700 miles. They're gonna have a very cordial beginning discussion, but it's all gonna go to hell in a handbasket in a hurry. And so we have audio, let's listen in.
Hey, what's up? What are you doing? Came to the gift. We came by to see Mom. She's not here? Where's she at? In Missouri? What's she doing there? Well, she's living with Lorinda's mom, who's taking care of her. Really? Yeah. Well, how long has she been there? About a year. Really?
I've cut this just for the sake of time and made it much faster. Let's continue to listen in on what happened.
Give it to Julie. Gang gets my turtles, you get everything else.
In all that time, he fired multiple shots. He's got like 19 handgun magazines on him or something. He shot and killed his brother and wounded his sister-in-law, has set the house on fire with road flares. The neighbors called the cops. In the interim, you can see there's the bullet holes. Let's continue to listen in.
Hey guys, don't go first. Check some kind of threat. Get up. Shotgun there. I'm gonna pull.
Ceasefire! 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 Okay, stand by, stand by. I don't see his gun.
Hey, how many?
Guns on the floor, guns on the floor.
I'm on the. You guys see hands?
He's down. Headshot wound him.
There's another person, dead person.
Who's that? It's fire.
670, roll medical, and send us some additional units, please. 603, we have medical on the way, and we have back for more units.
Hey, female says she was shot. Okay, where's she at? Go deal with her.
Squad 3.
Get up. Is that the only gun you have in his hand? Shotgun there.
I'm gonna pull out. Hold on, cover me, cover me. I'm putting on gloves.
You got that week? Yep.
Weaver 617. There's a fire inside the house.
I don't think we can go inside with this smoke.
As you can see, our perpetrator here took the welcome mat temperature challenge at that point. The husband didn't make it. The wife in the home did. The husband has been lauded as a hero for fighting his brother, hand to hand and taking the brunt of the injuries while his wife got away. We don't really know all of the details. At the end of the day, everything I have is linked in the description. The officers didn't go into this house where the fire is. Thankfully, no officers were harmed in this one either. Hey, Mike, you know the difference between truth and fiction?
I think so.
Fiction has to make sense. I mean, driving all the way from California to Utah to murder your brother. And
Well, I
then,
figure if you're from California, you think you're going to get away with it, but then in Utah, they don't play any of that nonsense.
I guess, Mike, one of the things that we learn here is you just never know what sets somebody over the edge. And we've seen a few domestics that go this way. And you know, this guy's described by his neighbors as a kind soul and somebody who helped people, but clearly something tipped this guy over the edge.
Yeah, I'll start by saying this, John. A note to people who may be watching this, who have a brother, a cousin, an in-law, whoever, who they suspect is, you know, potentially unhinged or dangerous or violent. Someone like this shows up at your doorstep unannounced out of the blue, who drove all the way from California. It's a long drive. Maybe consider not opening the door. I'm not casting any aspersions at this homeowner whatsoever. I mean, he did what he thought was right. But if you get an uneasy feeling as a self-defender, man, don't answer the door. Just be like, don't even acknowledge that you hear the doorbell. Call the police. Hey, come get this guy. I don't know what he's up to. But if you get that feeling, as Stephanie Widener likes to say, you know, accept reality. Something's very wrong here, and maybe don't answer the door. With that said, you know, you don't see these sorts of things coming. I feel terribly when you talk to me pre-tape about how this guy fought off this guy long enough for his wife to get out of there and managed to survive. It just breaks your heart. Absolutely breaks your heart.
It really does. And obviously, I don't know that having answered the door, there's really anything you're going to do to fend off this first attack, other than if you felt like, oh, he stuck his hand in his coat and left it there for a minute, and so that gave me the heebie-jeebies. You know, if you're estranged from this guy too, there's no, you have no actual obligation to answer the door. You have a Ring doorbell there, for goodness sakes. Just use the doorbell. Hey man, we're not home, we're not interested in talking, have a nice day. You know, at that point though, I think what a hero to fight this guy off so that his wife can live. And obviously he's already reloading. I think I might have misspoke. I think they found in the pictures that I saw 19 magazines, but he had a total of 23 and like 150 shotgun rounds for the shotgun, road flares to set that stuff on fire. Now, once the police show up, obviously, man, as soon as they show up, he starts shooting, and this is serious stuff. I will say here, I mean, you can see he's just sticking the gun out in front of him. He is not, you know, a competent shooter. It does not look like he has really any level of skill with the gun. Maybe he's already hit and that's why he's doing that. But it doesn't mean this isn't highly dangerous, because those bullets are going to end up somewhere.
Yeah, I want to mention something here real quick. Any criticism we seem to have for these officers at all, just understand we're here to pick nits and to make everybody a little better for that next cop who may be watching this video for training or whatever. Quick training point. I don't know what these officers knew going in. I don't know if, you know, how much they knew, but that patrol car needs to be the next house down. Don't park right in front of the house for this exact reason. Now, as it turns out, it could have been used for cover, but don't give yourself away. Park your car down the street a little bit to give yourself a little bit more of an element of surprise. As for your comments about his gun handling, John, yeah, I suspect you're right. I suspect he doesn't really know much about what he's doing, but he certainly went out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, I mean, these cops did the incredible work, okay? So let's just say that right at the outset. Incredible work by them. I also think right here on screen, as we see the first of the badge cam, the officer there behind the mailbox, that mailbox had like several bullet holes, or not holes, but pockmarks in it. So kudos to him for the effective use of cover. Police officers are going to have to use that. Officer to the right, I think using the van fairly effectively. That leaves our third officer, though, Mike, is kind of the odd man out here.
Yeah, indeed. As we see here in a moment, he does break that cover and come out to take some shots. I'm not sure, you know, what his thought process was, but if that's what he felt he needed to do to end the threat, he did what he had to do, and he was very brave in the process. All three of these officers were extremely brave, in my opinion. It looks like he's has a clue, judging on his pistol setup. He has a rear dot, he has a light. So odds are these guys train pretty highly. I'm impressed with their response the whole way around. We are gonna I'm gonna hold off on the next thing. Stand by.
So, you know, listen, I think that our first officer on the right, he goes around a long way. So our officer feels the availability of the cover, and now he's got to go to business here. And listen, yeah, he's got a well set up gun. It's a SIG 320 with what looks to me like a Halcyon 509 sight, a light on the front of it. You know, gear don't buy you skill though. And you got to be the one that grips the gun and puts the dot where it belongs and presses the trigger. And this here, about a 10 to 12 yard shot is my estimation of the distance. And one of them gets a headshot in doing that. Kudos to them for having the marksmanship on that day to make this guy stop, because no kind of anything other than a fight-stopping hit is going to do it.
Yeah, and bear in mind, I said earlier, I don't know what information they have via dispatch. If they just, just a shots fired call, or if the wife was able to call and give them more information. But the fact that they move right in, they don't hesitate, they don't wait around, they realize there's a problem here. I don't know if they saw smoke yet or not, but the house is on fire at this point. So they realized they had to get in there quickly and do something. So kudos to them for that. Extremely brave. And the use of cover here does indicate to me that these guys train, and they train well. The fact that he felt that, as you said, felt that cover, says, okay, there's a better spot to stand in, and move to that. Kudos to him for that. These guys appear to have their poop in a group.
All right, I am going to show you what is probably the best reload I've ever seen in a police officer involved shooting. He's going to finish shooting, that guy's down, take a second, and within 2 seconds of deciding that it's time to reload, he has stripped a magazine, gotten a new one, got it in the gun, got both hands on the gun, and the gun back up. That is far and away, Mike, the fastest police officer reload that we have ever seen in a real-life gunfight. I think a testimony to his level of training, and we say this all the time. Private citizens never use reloads. I've literally never seen one. Now, this one ended up being administrative as well, but we see cops use reloads in gunfights all the time because of the difference in mission, and police officers need to be good at this skill.
And again, this is a nit. This is a tiny little nit I'm kind of pick here, but for whatever reason, he reached up with his non-dominant hand and stripped the magazine rather than letting it fall free, which I think is interesting. And there could be any number of reasons for that. Maybe that's how his department trains, although I doubt it. Maybe he's had a problem with these magazines not falling free in the past, and so he wants to be triple sure that it falls out. But save those two things. If there isn't any super good reason to strip the mag, I really prefer to see you give that thing a little shake, let it fall free, and instead of reaching up for the magazine that you're pulling out, have that second mag in your hand and ready to insert into the gun and get back into action even faster. That could have been a 1.3, 1.4 reload had he done that, who knows. But again, great job getting that gun back in the fight and understanding, I just fired some rounds, I'm not sure how many, I'd rather have this gun full in case there's a second threat, in case this guy reanimates or whatever, not that he looks like he's going to, but have that gun full. It's a better feeling than having an unknown number of rounds in your gun, so well done.
Yep, and listen, again, kudos to him for doing that. Love the fact that he let that magazine drop too. He doesn't need that anymore. He's got multiple spares, go to work from there. I also think it was actually quite wise for these officers to kind of slow their roll at this point. The shooting is stopped. They don't know that there's not another shooter in there. They don't know the situation. We do know that the wife that was in the home is shot, I think, in the backyard or not in the house. She got out of the house at the very least. But walking involuntarily to black smoke pouring out of a house, man, that is a great way to end up with a body pile inside that house. Far more apt there, unless you can hear a human in there. I wouldn't do that. That's why you wait for the evidence eradication team.
Yeah, it's not going into a burning building. You see it in the movies or on TV, and it's you rush in and grab the person in distress and run out. Not happening. You can't even crawl on the floor low enough to get away from that smoke. I'm not a firefighter, but I don't see running into that place right now. Like you said, you're just going to have a pile of blue uniforms on the floor. I think these officers did an extremely commendable job. The nits that I picked were just that. They were nits. We make these videos so that the officers and deputies watching can get even better and have that mental rep and run through these things in advance. I think at the end of the day, these Utah officers really did a fantastic job of getting in there and stopping this before it got any worse. They protected their and everyone else's ass.